All right. Welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Audi, and I am your host, Audi. Remember last week when I said this month is Mental Health Awareness Month? So I will do an episode on mental health awareness next week. This is definitely a topic that I find very difficult to discuss. And it is still difficult after all of the work I have put in trying to understand this topic. But one good thing that happened after I did all of the work is that I come to realize that I have a lot of misconceptions and also myths of what mental health is. So question, have you ever looked at somebody and wondered what was going on in that person's mind? Before you even answer that question, do you know what is going on in your mind? So seeing that this month is indeed Mental Health Awareness Month, we will discuss the topic. The first myth I had when it comes to mental health is that mental health and mental illness are the exact same thing. But mental health in itself is the total well-being of an individual as it relates to their mental, their social, their physical, as well as their spiritual well-being. Mental illness, on the other hand, talks about the effect of how a person's feeling, their mood, their thinking, or behavior affects them as an individual. And these may include things such as bipolar disorder, depression, schizophrenia, or even anxiety. So when I think about mental health and mental illness, it's something similar to your physical health and your physical illness. We know that we can be born with a physical illness, but when it comes to physical health, we can do everything in our power in order for us to ensure that physically our bodies are operating in the way that they are supposed to. However, if you fail to look after your physical health, it can potentially lead to a physical illness that may need to be treated. But for those people who are born with physical illnesses, they had no say in terms of them being born with that physical illness due to some genes or their past family history of that physical illness. But if you don't take care of your physical health, if you are perfectly healthy, then you can eventually lead to you being in a situation where you need to seek treatment for your physical illness that has been impacted by you neglecting your physical health. So therefore, if you take care of your mental health, then you can actually prevent yourself, if you haven't been born with a mental illness, to kind of mitigate that you go into a mental illness, which is what a lot of people confuse mental health with, a mental illness. But if you take care of your mental health, then that's why the awareness is around it, so that you don't necessarily lead to potentially getting a mental illness where something has to be treated or some form of exposure have to be given to you to actually get over that particular situation that has now become an illness by you neglecting your mental health. The second myth is that children do not experience mental health problems. Unfortunately, 3 out of 4 people under the age of 24 have experienced some mental health problem. And if you have watched Inside Out, which is a Disney Pixar animation production, this is not a Disney ad by the way, but you will see how it is that in terms of the situations that a child is presented in, then they themselves can actually encounter a mental health situation by them trying to navigate the world and understanding how they are supposed to behave in it and how their emotions affect the way that they feel and interact with those around them. The third myth when it comes to mental health is that if a person try hard enough, they can just snap out of the situation and be okay. Mental health has nothing to do with a person being lazy or not trying hard enough. Because there may be other situations such as some life experience, whether due to trauma or abuse, that can affect that person's ability for them to actually come out of the situation that they're in. They can be born with a gene or brain chemistry that may affect them in terms of them getting through that situation, or there may be a family history of some form of mental health problem that they themselves have acquired due to the fact that they were born into this situation without necessarily asking for it. The fourth myth is that mental health does not affect me. Unfortunately, 1 out of 5 Americans have experienced some form of mental health issue in their lifetime. So if you have people around you, I assure you are not isolated in terms of you being an individual and don't have no connection to anybody else. But if you have 5 friends or even a family of more than 5 people, it's likely that one of you all have experienced some form of mental health problem. So therefore, it is likely going to affect you. Even though you want to remain unaware of it, it doesn't necessarily make it less of reality than you wanting not it to be real for you. So it's likely that your friends or your family have experienced some form of mental health issue. They just haven't necessarily expressed it to you because due to the stigmas in society that's affecting them from actually letting people know what they are going through. And as I started off the session by saying, do you look at someone and ever wondered what was going on in their mind? When it comes to me personally, I was that one friend out of my friend group that actually had a problem and didn't necessarily communicate to my friend because of the fact of the stigmas that are associated when it comes to mental health and what I would perceive, what people would think about me if I had came out and told them what I was going through. And so due to that, in terms of me not being educated enough or not knowing about what the facts were about mental health, it hindered me from actually being able to open up and telling my friends and my family what I was going through, even though I did not know how to navigate it. And every single day I was still able to show up and put a smile on my face and acted as though nothing was wrong. But in those moments when I was by myself, it was like the entire world was falling apart and I felt as though I didn't have anything to hold on to and I just was falling into this abyss in my mind and I couldn't scream or ask for help because if I did, I would be labeled as crazy, weak, or something else what society may have led us to believe when it comes to people experiencing something with their mental health. There are a lot of factors that may have led to me actually getting in the state that I was at that time, but at that time I did not know what was going on because it was something I was not used to and I did not know how to navigate my mind for me to come out of the situation no matter what was said or done, and a simple trigger can lead any one of us into going to a state that we have experienced in the past, which was a traumatic event, and gets us in that state where we are numb to everything else around us. Even though mental health is a problem that happens in the person's mind and you cannot see it, and just as we can see our everyday problems in terms of bills that are immediate, the mind in itself is one thing that we cannot see, and the operation of it, we are still doing research into it to figure out how it actually operates. But even us as individuals, we do not understand our own minds. So when we go into that space where we do not know what is going on in our head, it is very difficult for us to communicate it to people, especially the ones who have already been stuck in those stigmas and the myths that are associated when it comes to mental health. So guys, seeing that we cannot tell what's inside a person's head, sometimes all it requires for us to do is just listen to what the person has to say, and maybe you can be that person to help that person navigate what they are going through. The emotions that we experience on a daily basis, they are our emotions. They may not necessarily last forever, but in that given time, we have to learn how to embrace those emotions and how to communicate what we are feeling to the people who love us and care about us so that we can go ahead and make ourselves become a little bit better by us knowing that there are people in our lives that are willing to hear us and support us and help us to find the help that we need in order for us to navigate our mental health. And with that said, this is my take on mental health. This was a very, very, very complicated topic for me to touch up on because there are so much things I can say that are not correct in terms of the work. However, seeing that I was someone who actually went through an experience in my lifetime twice when it came to my mental health, I felt as it should be something that I share, and hopefully that you guys can learn from this and help one of your friends navigate a situation that they may not understand themselves so that they can get to a place where they are being their best selves. So peace, love, and enjoyment. Deuces. I'm Audi. See you guys next week. I hope to continue this topic on mental health awareness.